evening. My name is Nuansa Baguste Budi, and I'm gonna explain about the question 1 from tutorial 7. So let's begin by understanding how the aggregate demand curve is derived in a three-sector economy using the ISLM model. I'll walk you through this step by step. So first, we start with the ISLM model. The IS curve represents the equilibrium in the goods market. It's expressed as Y equals to C times Y minus T plus I times R plus G. Here, the output Y is determined by consumption, which is C, investment, which is I, and government spending, which is G. The LM curve represents equilibrium in the money market. It's expressed as M per P equals to L times by Y and R. In this case, the real money supply M or P balances with money demand, which is depends on Y and R. And then let's see how the price level, which is P, impacts the LM curve. When P increases, the real money supply, M or P, decreases because P is the denominator. And this causes the LM curve to shift to the left, and a leftward shift raises the interest rate R, which reduces investment I, and as a result, the aggregate output Y decreases. And finally, we trace the relationship between the price level P and output Y. As the price level P increases, output Y decreases. This creates an inverse relationship between P and Y, and which is captured by the aggregate demand AD curve. So, in summary, the AD curve is derived by observing how changes in price level P impact output Y through the ISLM framework. In the next part, we'll explore about the diagram. Hold on. Yep. And now this graph illustrates the effect of price level increase on the ISLM model, specifically showing how the equilibrium shifts and how this connects to the derivation and the aggregate demand curve. So first, let's look at the green LM curve labeled as LM P0. This represents equilibrium in the money market at lower price level P0. At this point, the equilibrium output and interest rate are Y0 and R0. When the price level rises to P1, the real money supply decreases because M or P falls. This causes the LM curve to shift leftward to the red dash curve labeled as LMP1. At the new price level, the equilibrium moves to the Y0 and R0 to Y1 to R1. Notice that the output Y decreases, moving left along the IS curve. Simultaneously, the interest rate R increases. So this inverse relationship between the price level P and the output Y, as seen the shift form here, Y0 and P0 to Y1 to P1, forms the basis of the aggregate demand curve. As price levels rise, output falls, creating the new downward slope of the AD curve. In summary, the diagram shows the changes in the price level affect equilibrium in the ISLM model, highlighting the mechanics between the aggregate demand curve. And then we move to the other slide. All right. So now that we've seen how the aggregate demand curve is derived, let's explore why it has a negative slope. There are three key mechanisms driving this inverse relationship between the price level P and output Y, which is the wealth effect, the interest rate effect, and the exchange rate effect. First, the wealth effect. When the price level rises, the purchasing power of money decreases. As a result, households feel poorer and their consumption C declines. This reduction in consumption contributes to a lower level of aggregate output, which is Y. Next, the interest rate effect. A higher price level reduces the real money supply, MRP, with less money available. Interest rate R rise as money becomes more scarce. And higher interest rate discourage investment, which is I, leading to decreased aggregate output in Y. Finally, the last one, which is the exchange rate effect. In open economy, a higher price level reduces competitiveness of exports, making them more expensive relative to goods from other countries. This decrease in export competitiveness leads to decline in net export, which is an X, reducing overall aggregate output, which is the Y. And together, these three effects, the wealth effect, the interest effect, and the exchange rate effect, explain why aggregate demand curve slopes downward. Simply put, as the price level rises, various mechanisms reduces the aggregate output of Y. And then we move into the other slide. So here we go. Let's take a closer look at aggregate demand ID curve, which visually represents the inverse relationship between the price level, which is P, and the output Y. Once again, the purple line in this graph is the AD curve. It slopes downward, reflecting that as the price level increases, the output decreases. This negative slope is consistent with the mechanism we discussed earlier, which is the wealth effect, interest rate effect, and exchange rate effect. Here we see the green point labeled with Y0 and P0. This represents an equilibrium at lower price level, which is P0. At this price level, output Y0 is relatively higher. Now we can compare to the red point labeled with Y1 and P1. When the price level rises to P1, the output Y decreases to Y1. This movement along the AD curve illustrates the negative relationship between price level and output. So in summary, the AD curve show that as prices rise, output decreases due to the combined effects of reduced consumption, investment, and net exports. This inverse relationship is fundamental to understanding macroeconomic behavior in the economy. With this foundation, we can now explore to the next topic, and thank you.
Hello, my name is Irfan Husaini. My metric number is 24062139. Here, I want to answer the question of tutorial 2A, that is, using the ISLM curve framework, analyze the effects of an open market purchase of securities by the Federal Reserve System on the level of income and the interest rate. So, the first effect that I want to explain happened to LM curve. The LM curve shows the money market equilibrium at which the supply of money equal to the demand of money, and open market purchase increase the money supplies and shift LM curve to the right. It is because for any given income level, the interest rate which is consistent with money market equilibrium is now lower. As aggregate demand, the economy moves along the IS curve to a higher level of income. The IS curve represents equilibrium in the goods market, where planned spending equals output. The shift in the LM curve doesn't affect the IS curve directly. Instead, the movement happens along the IS curve due to change in interest rate and income level. Next, the second effect happened to the ISLM equilibrium. The IS curve representing equilibrium in the goods market doesn't shift at this stage because this monetary policy doesn't affect fiscal policy and real investment condition. The shift at LM curve lowers the interest rate, a lower interest rate lowers the cost of borrowing, thus stimulating investment spending. Higher investment increase aggregate demand, so that level of income also increase From the ISLM graphical view, we can see that the IS curve slopes downward since there in an inverse relationship between interest rate and output in the goods market. So automatically the LM curve slopes upwards, reflecting the positive relation between output and the interest rate in the demand market. Economic implication: an open market purchase by the Federal Reserve represent an expansionary monetary policy. The lower interest rate stimulate borrowing, investment and consumption, leading to higher aggregate demand and economic growth. However, this analysis assumes constant price levels, no inflationary effects, and no other external shocks. Over time, higher income levels may increase money demand, partially offsetting the initial effects of the policy. Additionally, if price rise, the real money supply might decrease, potentially shifting the LM curve back toward its original position. Nonetheless, in the short run, the open market purchase effectively boosts economic activity by lowering interest rate and raising income. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Zhang Xu. Okay, let's go on and summarize the ISLM model. First, good market equilibrium. The IS curve represents the locus of all possible combinations of the interest rate and the national income when the product market reaches equilibrium. Equilibrium condition of the IS schedule. I parenthesis R equals S parenthesis Y. Government expenditure and taxes equal 0. Y represents output or national income. 7. S parenthesis Y represents saving as a function of income. The slope of the function is the marginal propensity to save. I parenthesis R represents investment as a function of the interest rate. The slope of the function is the interest elasticity of investment. Second, let's say the money market equilibrium. The LM curve represents the locus of all possible combinations of the interest rate and the national income when the money market reaches equilibrium. Equilibrium condition of the LM schedule. MS equals MD equals L parenthesis YR. MS is money supply. MD is money demand. L parenthesis YR is demand for money, which depends on income and the interest rate. In the IS LM basic diagram, the intersection of the IS curve and the LM curve is the equilibrium point, E0, where both the good market and the money market is satisfied. Let's start by assuming the E0 is initial equilibrium point. The initial equilibrium R is R0. The initial equilibrium income is Y0. On the basis, what will be the impact if there is a sudden change in autonomous investment? First of all, the autonomous investments are caused by external factors such as interpreted expectation for the future market, technological innovation, and changes in the policy environment, and has externality and relative independence. The decline in autonomous investment had an important impact on the ISLM curve. The IS curve will shift to the left, while the LM curve is not directly affected, but will undergo a series of indirect adjustments due to changes in the product market. Eventually, the economy reaches equilibrium, and the new equilibrium point, and both output and interest rates change. Judging by the image, first, IS curve first left. A reduction in investment lowers the equilibrium income at each interest rate. As a result, the IS curve shifts leftward because for any given interest rate, the level of income is lower than before. Second, income and interest rates decrease as the equilibrium changes. Both income and the interest rates decrease, reflecting the new equilibrium point in the economy. Let's think about how these effects come about. In the product market equilibrium model, the IS curve represents the combination of interest rate and income that satisfies the condition where investment equal to savings. Autonomous investment is the part of investment that doesn't depend on income or interest rates. When autonomous investment decreases, overall investment spending decreases. This leads to falling aggregate demand, causing the equilibrium output to decrease. Let's say the good market response. Reduced investment lowers aggregate demand, leading to a lower output. A decline in aggregate demand will lead to a situation of excess supply in the product market at a regional interest rate and income level. To reach a new equilibrium, the income level must decline. For example, if enterprises are pessimistic about the future economic outlook and reduce the purchase of new equipment and the construction investment in new factories. This will directly reduce investment demand and then affect aggregate demand and shift the IS curve to the left. Second, money market response. Lower output or reduce the transaction demand for money, leading to interest rates decreasing. This change in the product market indirectly affects the money market and ultimately lead to corresponding adjustment in the LM curve. According to the theory of money demand. MD is positive and positively related to income. Lower output will reduce the transaction demand for money. If the money supply remains fixed, there will be a situation of money oversupply in the money market, which will put downward pressure on interest rates. In the process, the position of the LM curve itself remains unchanged, but the economy moves downward along the LM curve until the product markets and the money markets reach a new equilibrium point again. At this time, both the interest rates and the income are at a new lower level.
Okay, so for question 3A, monetary policy and income elasticity of money demand. Higher income elasticity, money demand increase rapidly with income. Monetary policy become less effective because increased income quickly absorbs the money supply, reducing interest rate change. But at low income elasticity, money demand doesn't change much with income. Monetary policy become more effective as interest rates remain responsive to changes in money supply. So, if money demand is highly sensitive to a change in income, an increase in income caused by an expansionary monetary policy will lead to a larger increase in the demand for money. This reduce the impact of monetary policy on interest rates because the money supply is quickly absorbed by the increased demand, and the result monetary policy become less effective. But on the lower income, if money demand is less sensitive to income change, the same increase in income will have a smaller effect on money demand. This allow monetary policy to influence interest rates more significantly, making it more effective. And at fiscal policy, at high interest elasticity, money demand respond quickly to interest rate change. Fiscal policy is more effective because there is less crowding out of the investment, and at low interest elasticity, money demand is less responsive to interest rates. Fiscal policy is less effective as higher interest rates reduce investment. So, the effective of fiscal policy depends on how sensitive money demand is to change in interest rates. When money demand is highly responsive to interest rates, an increase in government spending raise income, causing money demand to rise. If money demand is just quickly to interest rates change, interest rates won't rise significantly. Inter this minimizes the crowding out effect, allowing fiscal policy to have a larger impact, and the result, fiscal policy becomes more effective. But at low interest elasticity, money demand is less sensitive to interest rate change and increase in income. Raises money demand sharply, causing interest rates to rise significantly. This leads to a stronger crowding out effect, reducing investment and dampening the impact of fiscal policy. And the result, fiscal policy become less effective. So, in conclusion, monetary policy will be more effectively because the small change in the interest rate led to big change in income. Like as you can see, the R0 is the interest one, and the Y0 is the income. At R0, sorry, when there's R1, the interest one, and that's gonna be income one, but it's only a small change of the interest, and is a big change on the income. So the monetary policy will be much better for this question.
Hello, my name is Mohammed Zulkifli, and today I want to answer the question 3B. Explain the relationship between the fiscal policy and the interest elasticity of investment demand. First of all, we need to know what is fiscal policy and interest elasticity of investment demand. Fiscal policy means by government action like changing spending and taxes to influence the economy. And then interest elasticity of investment demand is measure how sensitive investment is to change in interest rate. The relationship between the fiscal policy and the interest elasticity of investment demand depend on government actions such as changes in spending or taxation that influence private investment through interest rate changes. Fiscal policy can affect overall economic activity by altering government spending and tax level. For example, expansionary fiscal policy, which involve increasing government spending and cutting taxes, often require borrowing to finance the deficit. This increased borrowing can raise the interest rate due to the higher demand for credit in financial market. When the interest rate rise, the effect on private investment depends on the interest elasticity of investment demand, which measure how sensitive investment is to change in interest rate. If investment demand is highly elastic, even a small increase in interest rate will significantly reduce private investment, partially offsetting the stimulus provided by fiscal policy, a phenomenon known as a crowding out effect. Besides, if the investment demand is inelastic, private investment remain relatively stable despite changes in interest rate, making the fiscal policy more effective in boosting economic activity. In conclusion, or contractionary depend on the interest elasticity of investment demand. In expansionary policy, highly elastic investment demand means even a small increase in interest rate can significantly reduce private investment, limiting its impact, like the crowding out effect. While inelastic demand allow the private investment to remain stable by enhancing the policy effectiveness in stimulating growth. Conversely, in contractionary policy, highly elastic demand enable falling interest rate to significantly boost private investment, partially offsetting the policy effect, whereas inelastic demand reinforce the intended reduction in economic activity. Therefore, the success of a fiscal policy hinges on the private investment respond to changes in interest rate. So, about this slide, I will show you how interest rate affect the private investment. So this is so if you don't know what is all mean by the what is private investment, impact on rising interest rate, carrying out effect, and what is high elasticity and low elasticity, you can refer to this slide and show you the what is mean the the crowding out effect on the how high elasticity and low elasticity works. Like private investment is mean by the firm and the individual borrow money to invest in the project, like the new factory equipment or infrastructure. So on the high elasticity is mean by investment demand decrease that significantly when the interest rate rise, and low elasticity it mean by investment demand remains stable even when interest rate rise. So the crowding out effect is if interest rate rise significantly due to the government borrowing, private sector investment may decrease because it become more expensive to borrow. This can reduce the effectiveness of expansionary